The eviction notice was taped to my door on a Wednesday. It was printed on yellow paper. Bright yellow, like they wanted to make sure the neighbors could see it too. I stood in the hallway of my apartment building, 3rd floor, Unit 3B, the one with the broken heater that management had been looking into for 11 months, and I read it twice. 30 days to vacate or pay the balance in full. The balance was $2,340. I had $178 in my checking account and a half-empty jar of peanut butter in my kitchen cabinet. I was 38 years old.
Now,
Let me back up. My name is Renee Caldwell. I had been working as a home health aide in Columbus, Ohio for 6 years. I drove a 2009 Silver Civic with a crack in the rear windshield that spread a little more every winter. I worked 4 days a week, sometimes 5, caring for elderly patients in their homes, bathing them, cooking for them, driving them to appointments, sitting with them when their families did not come. I was good at my job. I was patient. I was careful. I showed up. But the pay was $14.20 an hour. No benefits. No sick days. And the agency had cut my hours 3 months earlier, without explanation. I had a daughter. Her name was Maya. She was 9 years old, gap-toothed and serious, and she liked to draw floor plans of houses she wanted to live in someday. Big ones. With a room just for her art supplies. I kept her drawings on the refrigerator. That Wednesday evening, I peeled the yellow notice off my door, folded it in half, and put it in my purse. I did not cry in the hallway. I waited until Maya was asleep. I had been here before. Not with an eviction notice specifically, but with that feeling. That particular kind of tired that is not about sleep. You know that feeling when you have been patient so long that patience itself starts to feel like a mistake. Like you have been doing everything right, showing up, working hard, keeping your head down, and the world just keeps handing you the same result. I had felt that way at 24, when I dropped out of Columbus State after 1 semester because I could not afford the second. I had felt it at 29, when Maya's father left and I moved into my sister's spare bedroom for 8 months with a toddler and 2 garbage bags of clothes. I had felt it at 34, when I finally got my own place, finally felt stable, and then the agency I worked for lost a major contract and laid off 11 aides in one afternoon. Me included. Each time, I had rebuilt. Quietly, without asking for much. Each time, I had told myself, this is temporary. Things are moving. Just keep going. And things would get a little better. Enough to breathe. Enough to stop panicking. That was the trap, I think now. The small improvements. The just enough moments. They kept me from ever asking the harder question. Better than last month is not the same as actually building something. But I did not know that yet. What I knew that Wednesday night, sitting at my kitchen table after Maya went to sleep, was this. I was 38 years old, and I had nothing to show for the last 6 years except a perfect attendance record at a job that did not care whether I stayed or left. I opened my laptop. I had $178. Rent owed was $2,340. My next paycheck was 9 days away, and it would be $610 after taxes. I did the math 4 different ways, hoping one of them would come out different. None of them did. I closed the laptop. I sat in the dark kitchen for a long time. And then I did something I had not done in years. I opened a search bar and typed 4 words. How do I start over? I did not find the answer that night. What I found was a rabbit hole of articles I did not finish, YouTube videos I watched for 4 minutes before closing, and a forum where people argued about whether college was worth it. I closed the laptop at 1:17 a.m. The microwave clock said so. I went to bed. I lay there staring at the ceiling of Unit 3B with its water stains shaped like the state of Florida, and I thought about Maya's drawings on the refrigerator. The houses with the big windows. The room just for art supplies. I thought about my mother. She had worked as a school cafeteria cook in Dayton for 22 years.
Same job.
Same hours. Same hairnet. She used to say, Renee, you just need to find something steady and hold on to it. She meant well. She was talking about survival. But I was starting to understand that survival and progress are not the same address. I fell asleep around 2 a.m. My alarm went off at 6:15. I made Maya's lunch, peanut butter on wheat, an apple, a small bag of pretzels, and walked her to the bus stop on Meriwether Avenue in the dark. November in Columbus is not gentle. The wind comes off the river, and it means it. I stood at that bus stop with my hands in my pockets and watched the yellow bus pull away. And I just stood there for a minute after it was gone. A woman came out of the house across the street. She was maybe 50, wearing a fleece vest over a button-down shirt, carrying a travel mug and a canvas tote bag with a laptop inside. She walked with the specific kind of purpose that comes from knowing exactly where you are going and why. She glanced at me. I must have looked exactly the way I felt, standing on a sidewalk in the cold with nowhere urgent to be and no idea what came next. She stopped. "You okay?" she said. "Fine," I said. The automatic answer. She looked at me for a second longer than a stranger usually does. "You sure?" I opened my mouth to say yes. What came out instead was, "Not really."
No.
Her name was Darlene Okafor. She had lived across the street from my bus stop for 3 years, and I had never once spoken to her. She said, "I've got 20 minutes before I have to leave. You want to come in for coffee?" I did not know this woman. I said yes anyway. Darlene's kitchen was warm. She had a percolator, not a pod machine, and it made a sound like it meant business. The counter was clean except for a yellow legal pad with handwritten notes and a mechanical pencil sitting on top of it. She poured 2 cups and set one in front of me without asking how I took it. I told her everything. I do not know why. Maybe because she was a stranger. Maybe because I was tired of holding the shape of someone who had it handled. I told her about the yellow notice, about Maya, about the math that kept coming out wrong, about 6 years of showing up for a job that could cut my hours without a phone call. Darlene listened without interrupting. When I finished, she wrapped both hands around her mug and looked at me. "What do you actually want?" she said. "Not what you need to survive. What do you want?" Nobody had asked me that in a long time. Maybe ever. "I want to stop starting over," I said. "I want to build something that holds." She nodded slowly. "What do you know how to do?" "I take care of people. I organize their medications. I manage their schedules. I deal with insurance companies and doctors' offices and family members who don't show up, and I keep everything moving." Darlene set her mug down. "You just described a medical office coordinator," she said. "Or a patient advocate. Or a healthcare administrator. Do you know what those jobs pay?" I did not. She turned the yellow legal pad around and wrote a number. $48,000 to start. With certification. I stared at that number. "The certification is called CMA," she said. Certified Medical Administrative Assistant. You can complete it online. Self-paced. The exam fee is $125. The prep course through the NCCD is free if you qualify for the Workforce Development Grant through the county. She wrote that down too. I was raised to be polite. Nobody taught me what to do when a stranger hands you the exact door you have been looking for. "How do you know all this?" I said. "I run a workforce reentry program at the Columbus Metropolitan Library," she said. "I have been helping people find this door for 11 years. She tore the page off the legal pad and slid it across the table. "The hard part is not the certification," she said. "The hard part is finding the hours to study when you are already running on empty. Most people try to add it onto a full day, and they burn out by week 3. So, what do?" She picked up the mechanical pencil and tapped it once on the table. "You steal the hours back," she said. "Before the day starts. Before Maya wakes up. Before your phone starts and the world needs something from you." She looked at me steadily. 5 a.m., she said. 2 hours. Every single morning. That is where you build the thing that holds. I walked home across Meriwether Avenue with a torn piece of yellow legal pad in my coat pocket. The wind was still coming off the river. I did not feel it the same way. That evening I called the number Darlene had written down. A woman at the county workforce office confirmed I qualified for the grant. She emailed me the enrollment link before we hung up. I set my alarm for 5 a.m. I put my phone on the kitchen counter across the room, so I would have to stand up to turn it off. I was not going to lie to you and say the first morning was easy. It was not. The alarm went off, and my body had opinions about it. Strong ones. But I stood up. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, and I opened the first module of the CMAA prep course. It was dark outside. The apartment was quiet. Maya was asleep down the hall. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was doing something that was actually going somewhere. The first week I was exhausted. The second week my eyes stopped burning by 5:30. The third week I started waking up 1 minute before the alarm. I did not miss a single morning. By week 6 I had completed 4 of the 9 modules. I knew medical billing codes, appointment scheduling systems, HIPAA compliance procedures, insurance verification. Things I had been navigating around the edges of for 6 years without knowing the formal language for them. Naming them made them feel like mine. By week 10, I passed a practice exam with an 87. Darlene had given me her number. I texted her, 87 on the practice test. She texted back in 40 seconds. Schedule the real one. I scheduled it for a Saturday morning in February. The testing center was on East Broad Street, 12 minutes from my apartment. I drove there in the silver Civic with the cracked rear windshield. I sat in a room with 7 other people and a proctor named Gerald, who offered us all a mint from a dish on his desk. I took a mint. I opened the exam. 2 weeks later, a letter came in the mail. Not yellow this time.
White.
With the NCCT seal in the corner. Congratulations. You have successfully passed the Certified Medical Administrative Assistant examination. I sat down on the floor of Unit 3B right there in the hallway. I did not cry immediately. I just sat there with that letter in both hands for a long time. Then I cried. I called Darlene. She said, "Now we work on the resume." 3 weeks after that I had 2 interviews. One at a pediatric clinic on the north side. One at an internal medicine practice downtown. The downtown practice called me on a Thursday afternoon. The salary was $46,500 to start with a 6-month review. I started the following Monday. That was 14 months ago. I am still in Unit 3B. Not because I have to be. Because I am saving. Deliberately. With a plan that has a number at the end of it and a date beside the number. Maya's drawings are still on the refrigerator. Last month she added a new one. Same big house. Same wide windows. But this time she drew a woman at the kitchen table in the early morning with a coffee cup and a laptop. She told me the woman was me. I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning still. Not because I am studying for a certification anymore. I wake up because those 2 hours are the most honest part of my day. I read. I plan. I take an online course in healthcare administration because there is a coordinator position opening at the practice in the spring, and I intend to be ready for it. My supervisor told me last week that I am the most organized person she has ever hired. I did not tell her it started with a torn piece of yellow legal pad and a woman I had never met who had 20 minutes and a percolator and enough kindness to ask if I was sure. There is a difference between being patient and being a placeholder.
I did not know that then.
I know it now. 6 years I had worked hard. 6 years I had shown up. And hard work without direction is just effort that goes nowhere. I was not failing because I was lazy. I was failing because I had never once stolen 2 hours back for myself before the world woke up and needed something from me. That is the thing nobody tells you when you are surviving. Survival takes everything you have. It is designed to. And if you let it, it will take the years too. The 5 a.m. alarm did not give me more time. I had the same 24 hours as everyone else. What it gave me was the right time. Quiet time. Time that belonged only to what I was building. Darlene told me once that the people who change their lives are not the ones who wait until conditions are perfect. They are the ones who decide that 2 hours of imperfect, exhausted, early morning effort is worth more than waiting for a better moment that is never going to come. She was right. The eviction notice is gone. The yellow paper is long thrown away. But I kept the piece of legal pad from Darlene's kitchen table. It is in the drawer beside my bed. Some mornings when the alarm goes off and my body still has opinions about it, I think about that number she wrote down. Not because I need the reminder of the money, because I need the reminder of the morning I stopped waiting.
I want to ask you something.
Was there ever a moment in your life when you stopped feeling sorry for yourself and started getting organized instead? When the hurt turned into a plan? I think you know what I mean. Tell me about that moment in the comments. I read every single one.